When it comes to long-lasting relationships, the ones that actually are the healthiest and thrive the most are the ones that really focus on values.
And this is really the foundation on which you can build your love and build your partnership together.
Research and clinical frameworks like Stan Tatkin and Gottman Institute really talk about how values are that thing that really helps mitigate conflict. It helps you communicate better. It helps you have alignment in everyday lifestyle activities. It's really important to figure out what your values are, whether that's family, adventure, freedom, respect.
Honesty. It sets the stage for your relationship because it's really foundational and you can always come back to your values. If you make decisions in life, you're like, okay, good, but does it align with our values? And then you have this common ground that you have together, which makes it easier for you to make common decisions for important or even smaller steps in your life.
And it prevents a lot of misalignment over time.
For example, our value is acting as a team. And this comes back in a lot of different situations. And if we feel that we're not acting as a team because there is like a bit of defensiveness or we're not bonding, we're really naming the value and starting from there. We're like, okay, are we acting as a team? And we go back to that. And if we're not, we both realize, oh yeah, we both chose it. So it's not me saying you did something wrong. It's more, let's go back to the value. Are we acting like a team? And let's go forward.
One way to figure out what your values are is to research what types of values there are out there and figure out what your personal values are, but then also figure out what they are for you collectively in your relationship. But the really important thing to journal is, what are my values? So maybe circle 5 top values and see, why are these important to me? And then understand, how do they actually show up in relationships for me? So those are 2 questions that are really important. Understand the why they're important, and then understanding how they show up. So for our example, when we said that acting as a team is one of our values, the why is because we're in a partnership. For us, 1 + 1 = 3. A relationship is not just one person. It's really about compromise. It's really about looking at things from a team perspective.
And one specific thing that this value of acting like a team does for us is that the egos don't take main stage in our relationship. We put the egos aside and we say, okay, good, what do we want together, instead of this is what I want.
And then once you figure out what those values are and the why behind them, it's also interesting to look at your past. Where have you compromised on your values in the past? A really nice way to actually learn about your values is to look back at your relationships and see, what did you not get in that past relationship that you really wish that you would have gotten? So for example, we have a friend and she really values generosity. And she really wants someone who's generous with their time, with their energy, with their money. And she was dating people so often that were not generous with their time, energy, money, etc. And what she recognized was that generosity was so important to her. And because these people were in misalignment, the problems that were always coming up were always butting heads around, oh, well, he didn't pay for this, or he didn't take me into account here, or he wasn't generous with giving this out, or whatever it might have been. That was the core of their issues. If you don't have the same values, or if you don't communicate what's really important to you in a relationship, you're likely to have these issues keep coming up and up and up.
For example, if freedom is something that I value and my partner values, okay, what is the overlap? Because for me, it can be, freedom can be the fact that I have no calendar. And for Anna, for example, is the fact that freedom is everything is planned, so I feel free to do whatever I want. So, okay, what is the common ground in this value? It's really a conversation to have, to go over the values and to be, okay, good, these are the values that there is an overlap between both of us, and this is going to be foundational to build our relationship on.
And it's also really interesting when you look at the values that you come up with your partner. Let's say family is one of your values. It's really important to get a little bit deeper. What does family mean to you? Does family mean that once a week we go and have dinner with our families? Does family mean that any event that there is, we fly to no matter what? Does focusing on family mean that we call our parents every single day? Or does family mean we want to build a family together? We want to have a child together. So it's really important to actually get into the nitty-gritty of the value, because we might actually be speaking different languages even when we communicate a value or a thing in front of us. So what happens if there are value clashes? So for example, I value freedom and my partner values home and stability. How does that really work? Can we actually align, or does that make it so that we're going to ultimately be living parallel lives because I'm going to be focused on freedom and traveling and seeing the world and not tying myself down to anything, and he's potentially going to want a mortgage and to work in the garden or have a construction site in the back of the house. You don't have to have all the same values as your partner, but you should have a few core ones that really bond you together. Ultimately, the thing about values is that they affect everything else in your relationship. They affect how you communicate with one another. They affect how you resolve conflict. They affect what you do on a regular basis in terms of lifestyle choices. And so this is a foundational element that's really important to make sure that you're aligned on and you have the same perspective on. If you haven't already purchased it, we have the book, A Love Plan, at mastersinrelationship.com. And we also have a lot of other resources on our website as well as on the YouTube channel. So take a look at everything and give us a follow.